Let's mix it up a little. Let's call this Saturday story time, and let's talk about that time that Matt Plapp went a little crazy with coffee. I guess you could say I had a coffee OD.
My goal is to help restaurant owners finally get to where they want to go. But more than that, my goal is to find entrepreneurs within that segment that actually know what it means to hustle. That's my goal. Come on the journey with me.
Restaurant Marketing Secrets, episode 270. I'm your host, Matt Plapp, and we are brought to you by America's Best Restaurants. America's Best Restaurants is on a path to help you, independent restaurant owners, find more frequent customers, because infrequent customers don't pay the damn bills. But today we're not talking about getting customers or marketing. We're having a little fun, mixing it up, Saturday story time. Up until about 5 years ago, I never drank coffee. I don't drink alcohol, if you know me. I've had, maybe 5 to 10 sips of alcohol in my life. And somebody actually asked me this morning at the gym this exact question. Why don't you drink? Did something happen? Because I heard somebody say that you don't drink, that you're just this wild and crazy naturally. And I said, I just never have drank. And on top of never drinking alcohol, up until like 5 or 6 years ago, I never drank coffee. Well, went on a ski trip with a buddy of mine, Chris Ruth, and he was doing pour over coffee. And I was trying to not focus on drinking energy drinks all the time. And I'm like, hey, let me have a coffee. So I liked it because I had always had coffee as like harsh taste. This was really smooth and fruity. So I had some black coffee with him and did pour over. And at that point on, I started drinking coffee more and more. Now I drink coffee pretty much every morning, 1 to 2 cups, and then I go on my way. So I'm not a crazy experienced coffee drinker. So this story was July of 2020, right when they opened up travel to the Dominican Republic. My wife and I got a slamming deal on an all-inclusive paid vacation at Dominican Republic at a resort right on the ocean. Turns out a hurricane came in the last 2 days, and we're looking at it right on. I hit the eye of it was coming right by us. We were in, was it Punta Cana, I think is what it was called? But we had this badass resort, and we had I guess it would be maybe a 2-unit building, so like what they call like a townhome almost. Pool outside of it. You walked out the patio, out into the pool. You looked over the ocean. It was just unbelievable. Way above my normal pay grade for vacations, to be quite honest with you, because I'm typically not that extravagant on that stuff. I like travel and like vacation, but this was like baller status. And we also had a butler, which I had never had a butler before and still haven't since this time. And every night before you went to bed, you could give the butler instructions on how you wanted to wake up. Like, hey, I want this breakfast. I want this coffee. I want donuts at this time. And it always showed up. They literally had this cool thing where outside of your door, he could unlock it, open it up, put it in there, lock it. On your end, you can open it, pull it in. It was like pretty badass. I'm like, damn, need that at the house for like Uber Eats or whoever. And so every night I would have coffee delivered like the next morning. And I would wake up, go on the patio. And it was cool. The patio actually walked into the pool. So you couldn't walk off the patio unless you walked into the pool. And so I would sit out there, the water, looking at the ocean with a cup of coffee. And the coffee, this Dominican coffee was phenomenal. I brought some back with me. I should have bought more afterwards, but it was phenomenal. And by coincidence, a buddy of mine, Jonathan Estevez, lives like 4 or 5 hours north of where we were. And he had heard we were coming down and said, hey, bro, do you mind? Would your wife mind if I swung down for a day? I hadn't seen him in like 3 years. He had moved from New York back to the DR. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And so he scooted down and he spent a day with me and Christy at the pool, having lunch, just catching up. And this guy's just awesome. So that night we go to dinner. And at dinner, I order a coffee after we get done eating because we're going to have some coffee and he's going to have some drinks and we're going to go to the bar afterwards. Wife's going to go back to the condo, watch TV, and be done with us. So I order a coffee, and it comes out, and it's like literally a cup of coffee, but it's only the very bottom of it. And I'm like, well, what's all this about? So I asked her to fill it up, and that's where the story gets interesting.
We interrupt this programming for a brief announcement from our sponsor.
Hey, it's Matt. Okay, there's no sponsor here, just us. We don't have advertising in our podcast. It's just us dropping value to help you build the ultimate marketing plan for your restaurant. But I want you to take advantage of something. We have our America's Best Restaurants University. Yes, it's not actually a university. It's an online training.
but it is a great place for you to learn how to market your restaurant at a high level and join our community online and in our Facebook group. Go to abru.online/free. abru.online/free. Join the ABR University and let us help you get to the next level. Now back to the show. This is where the story gets kind of funny and where it takes a crazy turn. Crazy in my world. She didn't speak English, and so when I was asking her to fill up the cup of coffee, she couldn't. It was like, looking at me with this weird stare. So Jonathan hops in, speaks Spanish to her, and literally 4 or 5 minutes later, she comes back out, which I thought was funny at first. I'm like, what's taking so long to get a damn coffee? Because we're impatient. But still, it was 5 minutes. What took so long to get this? So I drink it, and I didn't really pay attention. It wasn't the good DR coffee I had been having. It was this pretty strong stuff, like why I didn't like coffee originally. But I drank it because I'm sitting there and I want to feel kind of adultish. So we're sitting there, I got the pinky on the cup, and we're drinking coffee, and Jonathan's having his, I think he had a bourbon or something. Wife goes back to the room. Him and I go to the bar. So we're at the bar. I would say we're there, if I had to guess, maybe 10 to 1 a.m., just talking life, business, having fun. And throughout that time, he would order my coffee and he would get his own drink. And I'm throwing these things back. I believe, I know I had one at dinner, and I think I had 3. It might have been 2, but I think 3 at the bar. We're having a good time. So I go back, we man hug. He goes on his way. The next morning he's leaving. He got lucky because this resort was only 80% empty, so 20% full. So he was able to get a $200 night room at this all-inclusive. Ours was only $2,000 for 8 or 9 days. So we had our ways. I go back to the room, and I'm literally wired out of my mind. I'm up on my computer till 4:30 in the morning. Christy actually at a couple points rolled over would you shut the hell up and go to bed? I'm like, I can't. I'm up. I got stuff to do. I got my mind working. And I'm literally I want you to imagine the fastest person you've ever seen type. I'm typing everywhere, man. So I'm up till 4:30 in the morning. It didn't help, by the way, that I got an email that I didn't like from a client in the middle of the night. And of course, my dumbass was so juiced up that I responded to it. And that went a whole other direction. That's a different story. But I'm up all night. So 6:30, 7 o'clock comes in, and I roll out of bed, and I'd only had a couple hours of sleep, and I'm in a bad place. But I'm like, man, I woke up, sun's out, and I'm thinking, man, what the hell happened last night? This is insane. And I hadn't ordered coffee because I was out late, so the butler didn't bring my Dominican coffee, and so I put some clothes on and walked up to the little concession stand area. They had this little bakery with these wannabe donuts, which, by the way, donuts in the DR are nowhere close with donuts in America. A little disappointment there. So I go and get some of these lame donuts they've got, and I look up at the menu, and I see coffee. It says Dominican coffee. I'm like, okay. And then I see American coffee, and in parentheses, espresso. Now, remember, I'm a rookie coffee guy. And at this point, I don't think I had ever really had espresso. I didn't really know what the hell espresso was. I now know. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, I remember the lady saying American coffee the night before, and some things start to connect here. And I'm like, holy shit, was I drinking espresso? And I knew espresso was stronger than coffee. I didn't really know what it was at that point. And so I get my Dominican coffee. I get these little fake ass donuts. I go and enjoy them. Well, a couple hours later, Jonathan's up. I hit him up on the phone. I'm like, bro, what was I drinking last night? And he's like, dude, you're out of your freaking mind. I'm like, why? He goes, I've never seen somebody drink full cups of espresso. He's like, I knew you didn't drink alcohol and you're a little crazy. He said, but dude, you had probably 20 shots of espresso or something, because it was literally a coffee cup full of espresso. And then at that time, he explained what espresso was, because I wasn't, like I said, I didn't know. So that, my friends, is what happens when you have a language barrier and you're a coffee noob and you don't know what the hell you're drinking. Thank God I wasn't roofied or given vodka, because that would have been a whole different story. But 3 to 4 full coffee cups of espresso, I don't know, 5 to 6 things of espresso in a coffee cup, maybe more, times 3 to 4. You do the math. That was my story of almost ODing, I guess I would say, on coffee, but really espresso, which is a whole different ball game. So maybe every Saturday will continue. I got some funny stories. I've done some fun stuff. I've traveled a lot. I've done some stupid shit. I've got a great story about, playing cards all night with Sergio Garcia at a PGA event, a story about, the Bengals and traveling with them, with almost getting murdered in Baltimore, leaving the game after Andre Caldwell caught a touchdown pass, watching Carson Palmer break his wrist, being on a plane in Cleveland, stopped on a small runway and we almost all smacked our faces. Actually, we did smack our faces. But I got hundreds of these stories that my team tells me they're funny as shit that I should put out there. And I didn't really know what context to put them out there, but I think, if we're business during the week, we can have some fun on the weekend. So maybe moving forward, Saturday will be story time Saturday. See ya. So as you know, I don't charge for my content. We don't have sponsors. We don't have product placement in here. But what I want your help with is spreading the word. If you're finding value here, do me a favor. Share this on your social media. Share an episode with something that made sense to you, that's relevant to your restaurant, that you got value from, and tag Matt Plapp and America's Best Restaurants. Also, go to America's Best Restaurants on Facebook and on Google and leave us a review. Let us know the impact we've had on your restaurant with our roadshow, with our marketing help, or with our podcast. And last but not least, if you want to take the next step and help me out a lot and help us out a lot, text me a testimonial, 859-743-2408. That's my cell. A selfie video would be awesome about the impact this content or our company is having on your independent restaurant. But worst case scenario, just a few kind words. The way we can help lift this industry up is to help get content like this to more independent restaurant owners, and you are the key to spreading the word. I appreciate your support. Have an amazing day.